Shalom, Israel. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, the Bawanas of the Apostles and the Elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to like up there, doing this work of faith and labor of love, true sincerity. Right, I want to get into a quick topic based upon, how the Lord deals, uh, with his nation of people. And matter of fact, before I even come here, let me go to Amos. The common scripture we always grab. All right, so this is Amos 3:1. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities. Okay, so the way the Most High deals in general, just the way that we see how things should be in a society, period. If you're dealing with a particular, whether it's a person, or a person or a certain situation, you're going to deal with that accordingly. If you set laws or rules and certain things in place, you expect those people to follow that. And how else will you know at times if somebody's going to follow that unless you put them to the test? Unless you see where their heart is at, unless you see where their mind is at, unless you see where their spirit is really at. And a lot of the times, this is what the Most High have to do with us, because it's always a thing of, us showing that loyalty, to the Most High, because the Lord wants that unconditional love and loyalty. Like, who doesn't want that? Who wants, somebody that's going to be disloyal? So when it all comes down to it, all the Lord is really looking for is, all the Lord is asking for is loyalty, man. And that loyalty engulfs everything, because loyalty shows the respect that you have for a person, the reverence, the fear that you have for a person. You know, Loyalty shows the overall love, the admiration that you have for a person by being loyal to them. Loyalty covers so much ground. So this is all that the Lord is asking for from us within these last days. You know, and it's only fair, but for us, to give him what he asked for, as he set us up as to be the future rulers, of this earth. It's only right. So the Most High proves us a lot of time, and as it says in matter of fact, Sluck, yeah, I didn't mean to do that. um, no, let me just get back to the point that I was going to get to. Then I'll bounce back. Get back to Judges. Judges 3:1. 3:1. Slovakia. This is Judges 3. In fact, this is point in verse 2 too. All right, let me get to point 3. Judges 3:1. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. So why did the Lord allow these other nations to still be left? Even because when you go to Deuteronomy, right? When you go to the book of Deuteronomy, what did the Lord tell us to do? 7:1. Deuteronomy 7:1. When the Lord thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess, and he have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou, and when the Lord thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son, for they will turn thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. So this is the whole point of why the Most High left those nations there. Like it's showing you here that what when we were supposed to go uh, into the other nations, the Lord clearly told us to destroy them. But the Lord already having things in a working, He knew what He told us to do, and setting us up so that He can continue to prove us. He continue to see where Israel's heart, where Israel's mind is at. And on an overall basis, we know that our people is a stubborn and stiff-necked people that will continue to go against the ways of the Most High when the Most High done did such great things for us. Because as it said, still in going into verse 5, right? When it said, but thus shall ye deal with them, ye shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power. The Lord thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. But what did our people still wind up doing? They still wind up going up against the Most High, because when it came down to it, when their proving ground came, with the Most High, they ultimately fell. And it's constantly happened repeatedly. That's why the Lord mentioned this in the book of Ezekiel. Then Israel always looking for forgiveness when they fuck up. But when we fucked up, because we always there, right? But this is Ezekiel 16, and start at verse 30. It says, "How weak is thine heart, saith the Lord, seeing thou doest all these things, the work of an imperious whorish woman, and that thou buildest thine eminent place in the head of every way, and makest thine high place in every street, and has not been as the harlot, and that thou scornest higher, but as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of a husband. They give gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers, and hirest them that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredoms, whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms. And in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee. Therefore thou art contrary." So this has always been Israel's downfall, going back and forth and playing with the Lord, man. Like loyalty is everything, man. Loyalty is everything. Just by us getting into the law, statutes, commandments, and how the Lord set them up in general, that shows. Matter of fact, let me go to that in the book of Romans, real quick. Is the book of Romans 13, and I'm gonna start at verse 6. It says, verse 5. "Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but also for conscience sake. For this cause pay ye tribute also, for they are the Most High's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, honor to whom honor. Owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that have loved one another have fulfilled the law. For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill towards his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfilling of the law." So by this, by us upholding the law of love, not on no church going type of stuff, but by us obeying the Lord's statutes and commandments, period, we already fall in line with that. We already fall in line with being loyal unto the Lord. We fall in line with being loyal to our people and to the Lord's statutes and commandments that was set up before us, man. People in today's time, they got loyalty mixed up. Like we supposed to have loyalty to the society, or you supposed to have loyalty to somebody that's doing a bunch of wickedness. No, we have loyalty to one another in righteousness. We have loyalty unto the Lord because He's the one that created us. He's the one that put us in this situation. He's the one that's going to get us out. Therefore, our loyalty has to be with Him. Period. So when you want to talk, people like to talk about ride or die. It's only one way to ride or die, and that's for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and that's it. Period, man. It's only one way to do that. So going back to the whole point of what we was at in in the book of Judges, right? And the Lord constantly did this. It says what? Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them. And it means what? To try to test them. So, you know what I'm saying? And to see where their mind and their heart is at, man. He had to test us. He had to prove us, man. Even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know to teach them war at the least, such as before knew nothing thereof. So everything was to prove us, man. Right? And when you continue on, it still says it. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the Sidonians and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which He commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. So the Lord actually wanted to put them through it too, because these generations didn't know nothing about all of the wars and different things that went on before. So the Lord's like, I'm going to prove them and see where their hearts and their mind is at by putting them through the same thing that their forefathers went through, and see how they're going to come out on the end, man. So this is what it's about. All at the end of the day is how we're going to come out at the end of this thing, man. When them hours of temptation hit us, when we forced with that mark of the beast or RFID chip, when we see the society crumbling, how are we going to handle the pressure when that time comes? And we got to handle that pressure all in the name of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and knowing the loyalty that all the men of the Lord had, towards Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and how the Lord see them through, and knowing that the Lord is going to see us through the same way, man. You can't have anything without that knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and through all of that, we dedicate our loyalty unto Yahweh Bashim Yahushua wholeheartedly, man. So with that, I hope this segment was edifying. I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Rakakwadash, double wonders to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect out there doing this work of faith and live with love and true sincerity. Shalom.